Big mistake, we judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook. Big mistake, we judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look. Then they try rob we culturally, we walk lyrically, spiritually, truthfully, exposing evil spirits and hypocrisy. We do this habitually. Keep the mental vibes up at any party. Levels to my self game is type culinary. Dropping so many gems they call me jewelry. We no need no chat GBT. We do this organically. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician time for place the hook. Big mistake to judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off. Give the technician time for place the hook. Big mistake, we judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look. Bob say, if they turn tonight, you would have find out how much people they hate you just for spite. We good on this side, so they could have hate with all their might. Hate we cause we bars tight. Cause me on my team, they catch Lee light. Don't try bring your feelings to this fuck fight. Call me Cleveland when a time for take flight. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook. Big mistake, we judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook. Big mistake, we judge me by the color.
Believe that people, in the 23 yards, Berry King, La Ruta Maya history. Who are the baddest partner you ever see? Berries! Who? Berries! Yo, I see why this alongside the swingers. Damn your star. Who am I win the battle? What are we win the war? We can do, we go to Kevlar. The burn is done.
Now we like Spot and Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People champion. Now we like Spot and Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. This year one year. One man in a colonies, ruling the root of my yard. So survivor, psychics to the handle pressure. Even when the bounty, we still know what under. We know we take good. Last year we know we in Japan, nor the one name from China. We have fans all over, Bunga, Razal and Liga. CY and Francis that we sponsor. Living up this stamina, we see our could I win this race in one hour? No problem. We know we back like the unknown sun. The crowd back when the battle with the water. No retreat, no suffering. We want many people, there's something we remember. We don't follow trend, we that trendsetter. Definition after Rastabira. Rastabira is the people's champion. I really like Spot and Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. That's just one organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People champion. I really like Spot and Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. That's just one organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. The babies is a great thing. Major props. King. Thanks to all the love where we get from love and friend more. But this is a warning to the cheap pretending. So get in the river with me if you can't swim. like to hang on like stocky clean. Rastafari is the people's champion. Now he likes fat man, Rastafari, and they know that just so we function. That's a plan, I got the conception. Rastafari moving like an army of one. People's champion. Now he likes fat man, Rastafari, and they know that just so we function. That's a plan, I got the conception. Rastafari moving like an army of one. Gosh. Wine. To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. No, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire. If you don't believe it, take a picture and freeze it. Aluna gets room in a can release it. Watch how we steering, maneuver and balance it. One eye on it fast and still navigating. When we taxi it, we no one will lick. We use our draw the people, they watch we like Netflix. So take a bit and please sit back and who believes it. Have a real Rasta Piera here in this shit. Oh no serious like the virus. Nothing you can do fi catch us. We know the quarrel, we know the fuss. Babies and people help me, sing me for us.
All right. We're on. Good evening. Welcome to our weekly magazine on YouTube, Facebook, our pages, individual pages. I am G. Michael Reed, chairman designate until other arrangements are made. But until that point, I will do the best I can to fill these shoes, this seat, and to engage those of you who come forward with conversation that we hope will be interesting. We are it's the 17th of January, I believe it is today. This past Monday, we celebrated the birthdays of two remarkable people. Here in Belize, we celebrated George Price's birthday. In America, they celebrated Martin Luther King Day. Now, both these days fall on January the 15th, both their birthdays, January the 15th. They were born 10 years apart. Martin Luther was born in 1929. George Price would have been about 10 then, being born 10 years earlier in 1919. No record that the two men ever met, but certainly they both embarked on a life of service and activism. Martin Luther King was doing his thing over there, fighting racism. George Price was in Belize fighting colonialism. Neither of them had an easy time. Both men met obstacles. To this day, you will meet people who are not in agreement with what these two men were doing. Years after, George Price lived a full life and a life full of service. Luther King, unfortunately, his life was cut short by an assassin's bullet in 1968. April the 4th, it was when King came out on the balcony and the sound of a shot was heard. And that sparked riots throughout major cities in the US. I got to America in 1968, actually, at the tail end of the brouhaha, if you will. The embers were still burning and simmering. Racism was rampant. Racism in the US was deplorable. Men would get lynched for watching a white woman, just looking at her with any kind of what they conceived as being, perceived as being lust. People could not ride the same bus as white people unless it was way in the back and only on those designated buses. They could not drink water from the same fountain. They could not go to the same shops. And even in school, there was serious segregation. I experienced it when I myself entered high school in a little town called Forestville in Maryland. I was put out at the barber shop. The man told me, we don't trim your kind in here. And to that point, I had not really even aware that I was a certain kind. In Belize, as terrible as things were, I believe we grew up more in a, well, there was, of course, there was bigotry. And there's that all over the world. But I think growing up in Belize City in particular, we all shared similar uh, uh, style, similar way of living. There were those on the north side, the upper class people who had more money, of course, and there was down on the south side who were very poor. I fit in that category, but we managed and we came along. And listen, I'm here, and so is Gregory right now. Gregory, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Good evening to you, and good evening to all those wonderful people sitting out there in Belize and in the diaspora or wherever they are. They're on
Good
planet
evening.
Earth.
Yeah, Lisa is checking in. Hi, Lisa.
Good
Uh,
evening,
send
Lisa.
Lisa a link. See why Lisa has always been to come on, and we can't get her on. But we're getting something on your. You're touching something there,
Yeah,
Greg.
I heard it a couple of times,
Yeah,
Rahul.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna settle in there.
Yeah.
Um, at least there's not no big echo. I hope Joe manages to check in. I spoke
Yeah.
to him during the week. He's doing all right. Battling a
Okay.
little health issues, no. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so
Yeah.
he was disappointed that he couldn't be on last week.
I
Last week's
know.
show, yeah, the show was interesting. In retrospect, I,
Oh, Deetra's here too. Good evening,
wonderful.
Deetra.
Hi, Deetra. Good evening. Yeah, I was very impressed with the young man from Saint Vincent. I found him
Yes,
to be
yes, yes.
articulate and bright and
Mm-hmm.
focused. Um, one of the ladies was really passionate
Yes,
about her
yes.
thing.
I think all our guests last week, the two ladies, and was it three ladies we had and the young
There were
man?
three ladies. Yeah, it
Three
was
ladies. Yeah, yeah. Suzanne, I
correct.
can't remember all their name.
I see.
Uh,
CY head of CY. Susan's.
yes,
What is it? Leela's Leela's production, something like that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Hi, Renee. Renee's in. How you
Good
doing, Renee?
evening.
Yeah. But the my friend Joe Cowie reminded me when we spoke this week. He said, "Gee, Mike, you know that sometimes you can confuse passion for reason. You you
Hmm.
because you're very passionate about something, you believe,
Hmm.
oh, that's the right
That's the answer.
course. Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes it's just it requires more
Mm,
deliberation. You know what I mean?
mhm, mm.
Um,
Well,
we
I don't think there was anything too off the hook in any of
no,
those
well,
in those
not at all, not
presentation.
at all,
It
not
was a
yeah,
little different, you know. I think Susan was talking about the temple and stuff, the work she wants to do,
right,
and then they were talking about getting that property in Saint Vincent, that island, so that
right.
they and Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, so that they can have a space that they can dedicate for the Garifuna and kind of set up schools and different cultural things that people could go and learn about their culture, which I think every people wants to have some place they could find themselves, you know.
Yeah. Again, though, I think we have to at some point understand that, in particular in Belize, where we're kind of small, very small, and we have different ethnic groups, and everybody is jostling for recognition. Everybody thinks that their culture is important. So you must understand that we don't want to fall into the same trap of superiority that we're fighting against. Because I think we've come to the point now in the world where we realize that all human beings, listen, two hands, 2 feet, two eyes, 2 ears, on two nose hole, one mouth, I ingest, digest, defecate. We all perform the same way. There's no difference, no matter what shade you are, where you come from. We God did make all men equal. Whether you believe him, I don't want to tread on that side of your belief system, but we are all the same. And show me one man amongst us, regardless white, black, yellow, Chinese, whatever. Show me one that is different from the other man. And the only thing that sets us apart is our sense of reasoning. That that interesting enough sets us apart from the animals, because that animals we are the only species that has that sense of reasoning. They have instincts, they do things like that, but when it comes to making plans and putting in place a program as such, developing an algorithm that works, man really does run things, no?
We do run supreme, but I do believe that, as you say, that what separates us is that reasoning, and but more importantly, I think it's our consciousness of self, and an awareness of our surroundings. That's the power broker
So
for man.
where does this consciousness come from? Is it developed, or is it something natural? Is it comes from your parents, from your environment, from God? Where does it come from?
Well, we know that somehow it becomes something that we develop over time, because like they say, a child, a baby, a newborn doesn't have that level of consciousness, right? But in time they will if they're developing normally, that consciousness will come about. um so I don't know if it comes from God, but it comes from our development, is what I is the way I see it.
Well,
um
let's look at different religions then. Muslims and Christianity, um, even the atheists, because you can call that a religion.
yeah,
Um, then, but the people that come up in there, and the interesting thing is that you have good people come up in all of these different types of environment. So what makes one good and the other one bad? I mean, where does that influence come from? How can one man callously take another man's life, while the average man would never do that? You would not. I mean, some people just don't hurt other people, while others just don't seem to care.
yeah, yeah.
Where does that come from? That's what I'd like to know. Um,
I wish I had that answer. If I had that
yeah,
answer, I would
yeah,
be making
yeah.
billions of dollars working as a psychologist and informing every
They would, if
government as
nobody would go see you. Nobody wants the answers, Greg. They don't. We don't really want. Where ignorance is bliss.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
where's this follow to be wise? Listen, but the whole situation with the ethnicity and whatnot, and us trying to unite as a country and move forward. Um, I don't know if that leaves any room for any particular person to be applauded louder than any other. Renee says she thinks it's innate. Every living thing is aware, even plants. A plant won't grow or thrive in an environment that is not suitable to its well-being. Now, plants, however, again, I believe that's an instinctive thing, if I may put it like that, as opposed to a deliberate, calculated.
Yeah.
Uh,
It,
uh,
it
uh,
everything have sensation and they say the entire process of things is vibration, right? That all
Yeah, yeah.
everything. So yeah, plants have a sense of light and darkness and touch and stuff. We know the plants, you touch it and thing bound hits it and it closes and protects its leaves and stuff. So the things like that. Plants that captures I don't know why they captures they're like predatory plants.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. What do you mean? Why they eat them?
well, I don't know if they really eat them. I don't know what happens. I don't know if they use
What
them
do you
as
mean?
if when
They
they
don't-
capture them and hold them, that becomes some type of nutrients. I know they whatever
well,
they
that would be
caught
the
in the.
same, that would be the same as eating, right? They
No,
that
no, no. I'm saying I
they,
don't know if that's the if the, I don't know what process
yeah, yeah. Probably doesn't.
process
Yeah,
happens.
but certainly they catch them and
Yeah,
they don't come back out of there. You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
No,
exactly.
that is. Speaking of coming back out of there, because I've been having some discussions with some people, some religious fanatics, I use that word sparingly because
Yeah,
they're passionate about their belief system.
yeah, yeah.
Um, is Jesus God?
It would be quite confusing if he was God,
Why?
because it means that he sets himself up to die for no reason when all this could have been avoided if
Yeah, that is funny though. But you mean a man dead for no reason?
no,
Yeah.
if he's God, he came and let man, his creation, kill him.
No, but this is what I'm saying though, because I think this a way come kind of hubris on man's part to suggest that we are so, I mean, powerful. We were able to even kill God. We had him
Yes,
dead for
yes,
3 days.
yes.
It makes no sense to me. You know what makes
To me
sense to
either.
me?
To me either.
What? Here's what makes sense to me, Gregory, is that I believe that Jesus did come, as a prophet, because I think
Yes,
God sends to every age people who lead the
yes,
way. Leaders
yes,
emerge.
yes,
Many
yes,
times
yes.
we select the wrong leaders and we listen to the wrong people, but
Mhm.
if we really pay attention, leaders do emerge. But there are always those who object. And I started out with Martin Luther King and George Price. And they had their detractors, they had their haters. And as a result, from like Martin Luther King, it resulted in the same thing. Now, the American Negro can say, oh, Martin Luther King came to die.
Mhm. I don't
Fortunately,
think anybody says that about
no,
Martin
no,
Luther King. I think
nobody does. But
he
what
was
I'm
willing
saying,
to.
you could very well say that because let me tell you now, his death did effect change. As a result of his assassination, there were widespread unrest, and as a result, things did change for the better. Wouldn't you agree? People are now riding the bus. They're drinking water from the same fountains. They do
Well,
still have
the human rights civil rights bill did
right.
pass right after his death. I think it became. I think what the President Johnson at the time saw that now we don't have a peacemaker. We only had at that time was Malcolm X, and so you just
Yeah,
killed the guy
he
that
was,
was
yeah, yeah.
you just killed the guy that said peace, and the only guy I have left is the guy that says, let's put up our deuce. Let's not take this.
Might be the
So,
same thing with Jesus, because he's the one he was saying, love one another as you love yourself. I
but
think
that's
though,
still a good thing to hold on to.
you know what is funny is that Jesus never referred to himself as the Son of God or as God. In the Gospel of John, he did a few times, but 69 times, get this now, he referred to himself as the Son of Man.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that if you
Yeah.
have a father and a son, um, and let's say two different people, and the son of one commits a egregious act, and there's penance to be paid, retribution to be rendered. Whose son would do it? Would it not be the one who committed the son, the sin?
Yeah.
So him being the son of man, I could understand man actually killed himself
Yeah.
in payment for the sins that he committed. So um we,
I don't think God asked that sacrifice. I think that's all a story made by man to satisfy man's own, I don't know. No doubt Jesus Christ um, existed. He lived. He was the son of Joseph and Mary, and he died possibly as they
so
as the book depicts him.
you don't hold much weight in Immaculate Conception story.
I
You don't put no stock in that.
I think something happened to Joseph if he didn't spend a night at home.
Hey, I see the United Nations Secretary General released another plea. um, Gregory, there's Bernie Sanders put up what do you call it, a proposal what do you call it when you put something to the Senate, and the question the what he was saying was, let us give aid to Israel only based upon how they comply with human rights regulations. Now that's pretty straightforward. I don't see much in there that you could say, oh, I don't know. We have to be careful with that. That's straightforward. You don't comply with human rights, which we, the country now, as the United States, have developed our own criteria for that. If you don't meet that, we don't send you money and arms and all of that.
Yeah.
71, I believe, 72 to 11 said, no, we don't agree with that. What kind of reasoning is that?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, how?
You know I think President Netanyahu or Prime Minister Netanyahu said it best. He says, "I know how to work the United States, the Congress and the presidency," and I think he does, and I think he works it well. If we look at what we saw happen with all the universities, people just came out and voiced slight opposition or concern about the suffering of the people in Gaza, the Palestinian people, and how they were run out of their offices, how they were corporate leaders, how they all suffered tremendously by just making comments that seem what we normally would expect when we see something that we are not pleased with, right? I'm not even speaking of right or wrong. I'm just talking subjectively. When someone individually feels discomforted by something they see, they make a comment. And for this, these people are run out of office. Even if they want to talk about the bombing now and 20,000, 24,000, or 30,000 people have died,
More
that's
than
pretty
half of
much.
them women and children. More
Yes.
than half of
Even
them.
now, if you say that, you still have to come back and refer to that
To October 7th.
October 7th, where
Yeah, yeah,
1,400
yeah.
Israelis were. I don't know if I think at one point I said it, they will not stop until 100,000 people have been killed. Maybe they'll go to 200,000 people
Boy, I
before
can't
they
believe
stop.
that.
And
What?
maybe they'll not stop because they want to rid the area, it seems to me,
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
Palestinian and to take over that territory. So
Well, what
uh,
became clear, also, because at the court, at the ICJ, when South Africa made its case, and when Israel said is that, you know what, it's not us stopping the humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, it's the Egyptians. And the Egyptians stood up, and at that point they said, you know what, maybe we ought to join with uh, with uh, um, with South Africa on this thing, because Israel is lying outright. They said that we do it. The reason we not opening our borders is because we know what the end game is for the
exactly,
Israelis. They
exactly.
want to drive the Palestinians into the Sinai Desert. That
Yeah.
that is the plan. They have not made no secret about that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once out, you know they
They
will
won't
never
no
be able,
return. They'll
no
not
return.
allow them to return.
So,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
is obviously what the whole thing is all about. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't. I understand you saying they might not stop until they reach 100,000 or 200,000. That is not what bothers me so much as people, the rest of us in the world, allowing them to do that without voicing our concern. And yes, people are getting
I
fired.
think
Yeah.
no, I think the whole world is appalled by what's going on. You know, it's unconscionable. But not much can be done when you have the United States standing in the way of every attempt to bring about a ceasefire. And I was listening to a program where this presenter and he was Jewish, and he was saying that pretty much the creation of the United States and the creation of Israel, they are so similar. They're so similar in that the American came from Europe, right? And took over the United States, claiming that it was empty, it was available to be
No.
God. God sent them, right? That's how the
Indians
Pilgrims
hooping
had
and
put it.
hollering all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
and what was left of the people, they were going to civilize them, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
and in Israel going to the Middle East there and taking over the land, it's like well, they came with a little bit different teeth. This was ours before, right? God gave it to us, but in some respect, the Pilgrims almost said the same thing, that this newfound land was sent here by different prophets or angels
And
or
religion
whatever.
played a big part in both of it too. Religion
Exactly, and
played a big role.
that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
there's so much
Yeah.
similarity
But
between how both states were created.
though, Gregory, and I was speaking about Martin Luther King's birthday we celebrated, and MLK's sacrifice made major strides in America. I hold that. And then we saw even to the point of a black man being elected president.
Yes.
I was watching things progress or regress. I don't know, go the other way. And it seemed like America had lost a lot of credibility in the world and popularity. And then Obama's election kind of like said, wait a minute, people just stopped for a minute and said, maybe things aren't that bad. Maybe they're not as bad as it seemed. But I think now with this war and the decisions that are being made, they have squandered a
Hmm.
lot of that credibility that they had regained. And
Yeah.
people are once again saying, wait a minute, this that because again, this are white people against people of color. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't see how
I
anybody.
sometimes I don't even know if it is. Certainly, racism has something to do with it, but I don't even know if it is white as much as it is economic interests and such type of control. And when I say that, the economic interest is controlled by white, but I don't know if it is just purely on a racist
Yeah, I would agree.
racism.
Yeah, it's
You
probably
see?
not a racism thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there
I
are a
mean,
lot
but
of other factors.
but that becomes part of how it sieves out. You know, when you sieve it out and you get the result. It's all that same thing.
You know,
Um,
you were saying that there's not much we can do, and I concur. However, I think I shared this story before. There was a guy from South Africa that I met during the time when South Africa was fighting for their freedom from apartheid.
mhm.
And I said to him, "Well, what kind of person like me? I mean, there's nothing I can do. Like I'm way over here. But what can I do?" And he said, "My brother, all you can do is stay aware, be
Mhm.
aware of
Mhm.
what is
Mhm.
happening, and just add your thoughts to the discontent
Yes.
with the way
Yeah.
things are going." And I don't know how much it helped, but certainly apartheid fell to the degree that it has now, because I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
But South Africa has been impressive that even coming out of that. And I saw protests in South Africa where many white South Africans are
Hmm.
out there supporting their country's stance.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it
Well,
suggests.
that's why I said I think people, I, people throughout the world, when you look at it, when you look at the people that are protesting, it hasn't taken just a color line. You know, I mean, the Palestinian people are the cousins to the Jewish people.
Well, there are
It's
Jews
their
out
blood.
there protesting.
Yeah, yeah.
There
No,
are
but
Jews.
I'm saying the people that is being prosecuted and being bombed and being driven off their land, they're first cousins to the Jewish people. They have the
Well,
same, they have same pot of DNA in
so
them.
are they all tribes of Israel? Is that what you're saying? Are,
I don't know if if they are one of the tribes of Israel, but they could well be. But I know that if when they check the DNA of Palestinian people, they do have good strong proportions of Jewish blood.
um, what's funny about that though? Because many of them are not indigenous to that area.
The Palestinian
No,
the
no,
Palestinian.
no, no. The Israelis
Oh,
aren't.
The Israelis.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
where
yeah,
would
yeah.
that DNA
Well, I'm talking
come
from
in?
way back, from way back. Those are the same Semitic people, I believe. I don't know enough about them to speak fully on
Yeah,
that,
because
that's what
there's
I've
no way
read.
back though. There's no way back, and I think this is a part of the confusion. I
No,
think.
no, there's no, but no, I'm talking when I say way back, I'm not talking way back to that region. I'm talking way back in their DNA. The Palestinian people have have I mean,
I
hundred
am.
thousands of years ago, you know, from that they were the same people. They were the same people.
They weren't taking DNA tests thousands of years ago.
No, but they're able to determine through mitochondrial DNA the historical lineage of
I'll
people,
take your word for it. But I
and
look it
through
up. I
that,
look it up.
yeah,
I
yeah,
look it up and we'll bring it back.
yeah.
I think a big part of the problem over there is there are two misnomers. Number one, to label what is going on a war. It's not a war,
Hmm.
it's a beat down. War, the two armies that fight one another.
Yeah.
Basically, you got sticks and stones against tanks for the
Hmm.
most part. The
Yeah.
next misnomer is the name Israel. And this will have most of the religious fanatics confused because it should have been Judom or Judea or Zion or something like this. But certainly to put it in that context, it makes it all right, these are the chosen people of God. But if they are the chosen people, there were 12 tribes of Israel.
Hmm.
I am seeing one people there now saying that, oh, we are the tribes. I don't, it's not making sense. Make it make sense, please. Make it make sense. You know, um, Ernest Brannan Jr., the man known as Bandit, is in the house. Bless up, respect every time. Um, Leela's called. This is Susan, of course. Hi, Susan. Hope things are going well. Thanks for joining us last week. We have next week. I am hoping to get former Commissioner of Police Crispin Jeffries to join us. He has actually tentatively agreed. He should be a good interview. He and every now and again we need to advise our listeners that every now and again we do this. We take a little time to reflect on other things, and chat among ourselves about things, and hopefully invite them to entice them to jump in and give a few comments or suggestions as to the way things should go. No,
Yeah.
but next week if we're able to, he should be listening tonight. I'd like to say greetings, Mr. Jeff. Mr. Jeffries, I worked with him in the department. He was the officer in charge of Eastern Division, the south side of Belize City. Challenging job, and then he became commissioner of police, of course. He was a member of the band. He back when police had a band. I don't know how good, because my sister used to tell me that every time the police band play rain, that, that it was a rumor. I don't know if it was true, but certainly eh, eh, they had a band, a good music program.
Mhm.
I know up to recently they had a police athletic league where they were
Mm.
working with young children. I
Yes.
think I still pass every now and again. I see a few of them in uniform.
I think they
They,
still do. I saw that, I think, in one of the parades. Either it was the 10th or the 21st, that they had some young people dressed as police cadets, I think they call them, right?
yeah, police cadets. The thing is though that what is important in that is that parents are involved. Children aren't going to do it on their own. I'm faced with some of the same challenges here trying to get these guys to link up and be a part of a team or something like that. If the parents don't insist that they do it,
Hmm.
they're not going to just do it on their own. Um, the organizer will have trouble getting them to do
Hmm.
it unless there's an incentive.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Mm.
that I used to be able to afford a little snack and whatnot, and they welcome that and came for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's not available, they forget
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, you
So
always, you always have to have a hook
yeah, you have to have that incentive.
you have to be like, the religious group, right? They always have something to give you to.
You mean communion? That wasn't tasty. That, was, that wasn't a lot of nothing, boy. Eh,
Yeah.
by the way, and I must confess to you, one of my sins, growing up, is I actually used to teach the communion, but I used to go in the back and first yeah, now that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
But
they weren't
those
cut
little
up
wafer
yet.
thing don't.
Yeah, but they
wh-
weren't.
wh-
There was a whole sheet. Cause they had a
Oh.
sheet, and they would press it out, and a little. Cause you
Uh-huh.
just how you do on the tool and die kind of thing, no? And so a couple of times I got away with a sheet or two, and I tell you more filling than just then leap piece when they go at the church. I so you have my confession, Father, forgive me for I have sinned.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
think you probably got like 20 Hail Marys for that.
so, so something like that. Yeah, that was interesting. Well, I had my. I don't know about you. I don't know if you ever went to confession, but I had my little story set. To, Father, I stole 2 times, I lied 3 times. I mean, how many sins does a 9 year old commit, or even remember committing? You know, though I'm sure I committed more than I let on, but I don't know what the how and if you believe it, I guess, no. But you know, the whole thing don't make a whole lot of sense to me. And as I've grown
Well, I don't
and
believe any man should confess to any other man. If you want to confess, then go privately and confess to God. That's the only place I believe you should be confessing.
well, you just shoot the whole Catholic paradigm to hell, no? Because you know
Well,
they do
yeah,
that.
yeah, I know. I'm
Uh,
sorry. I'm sorry, but that's
yeah, yeah, and
unfortunately how it should be. We know the. uh, I won't say anymore.
yeah, because you might get in trouble.
Yeah, yeah, they might have Catholics come looking for me, and
You
I
know
don't want
the
that.
funny thing about that, and I was thinking the other day, even with this whole Middle East thing, that if if you if you say something that they don't like, they they come at you, really.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But when they say something or do something you don't like, you're not supposed to feel no any way about that. You're supposed to just be cool with it because why? I mean, what gives you the right when I don't have it? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? We should if you have if you really have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom on a whole, freedom. You know, you 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 should be able to. You can disagree um agreeably. No confession. Leela is doing it. You have some. Do you have confession? No, cancel culture, and
Yeah.
that is indeed a term that I've come to grips with. That cancel culture is real, you know. because
You
you
think
have
so?
well, yeah, do I think so? You have level, and I know you're being sarcastic. You have levels, you have different societies, you know. You have like the society of this and the society of that. This recent thing that we're seeing coming out of Hollywood, decadent. I mean, man, talking about who need confession, those guys there need confession. But you know what struck me, Gregory, and
Hmm.
our listeners out there, that the amount of money where they need throw about, I mean, obscene cash, millions and millions of dollars. How do you spend that much money without drugs and or some kind of craziness? No, um, there are people in this world making money. Um, I had to try doing a lead job for a couple of $100 and getting beat down. And these guys are talking about a one night gig for 100, 200 million dollars. Man, we're wasting our talents, Greg. We must go see why. I must go find a way for making sure make our leave money. You know what I'm saying? So we can at least sending out that is.
Mm,
Um, I was watching the I was watching the views on
yeah.
the interview with Shannon Sharp, and it talked about 43 million the last time they checked, and it was climbing every day. They said it was one of the highest viewed shows in since the internet came about. And
Mm.
I was telling CY that day I was dancing when we broke the 1,000 mark viewers and then by the end of the millions, man. We got ways to go to
Mm.
catch up, Gregory. But
Yeah.
we continue. Um, we hope that uh, the listeners will stick with us. We hope that they will join us from time to time, throwing at least something here and there, right? But there are so many things that we really have to discuss. I was I was driving on Chetamal Street today, Lake Independence Boulevard, where there's a new bridge across the Halova, and it runs into Chetamal Street. You aware of that? Yeah. When's the last time you've been in Belize?
It's been a while. It's been a
So
while.
you were
But
not
I know where
familiar.
Chatamal Street. I know where Chatamal Street
All
is.
right, Chetamal Street now links Fabers Road
Yes.
with what is now Lake Independence Boulevard.
Yes.
But there were two guys on the ground, two separate motorcycles, about 100 years apart. And I didn't stop because the police were cordon off the area and what. And I don't know if they ran into each other. I don't know if it's on the news tonight or if they one vehicle hit both bikes. But the
Mm.
whole and I imagine we might hear it before the program is over. This loud noise where they tamper with the mufflers to get
Mhm.
one loud sound out of it that is
Mhm.
disturbing. And I'm saying these guys. My father told me when I bought my first motorcycle, he says, "Son, devil riding horse to get pan there, right? So ride it accordingly." And I didn't pay him not much mind until I was on the ground myself looking up because a guy told me if you're gonna ride, get you're gonna go down
Knocked off.
at
Yeah. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
point,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever happens.
Mhm.
I remember riding on the highway one time and hitting a slick spot, and the bike and it was just a miracle
Yeah.
because I was
Mm.
going very fast, but I was able to bring it down under control. But the motorcycles, um, the guys out there, some of them are a traffic hazard because they ride, wait and ride, and they tend to come up behind you and sometimes sit on that blind spot. You have your three mirrors, but there's a spot right there that you're not covered by any of the mirrors. You can't sit in, and it seems like they
Mhm.
like to ride at exactly that spot. And if you need to turn or stop suddenly,
Yeah.
no problem. I don't know what we're gonna do with that because again, with the deal with freedoms, and they have the freedom to ride the bike how they want. I don't think they should have the freedom to make as much noise as they want to
I agree
because
with you. There is noise ordinance and
yeah,
stuff,
they're
and
disturbance of the
and
peace.
yeah,
Disturbance of the peace. They
and
leave it alone.
uh, uh, and it's just part of enforcement. If the police catches them, then they get a fix it or
It's kind of
uh,
tough because the police would then need a motorcycle unit that can ride as fast as these guys can.
but I
You
thought
see?
they did. I thought they had a motorcycle unit.
No, I haven't seen any motorcycles lately. I have not seen
Oh, okay.
police that went out to the Triumphs. Remember
Oh,
the
okay.
big,
Yeah, yeah, I remember
yeah.
those. Yeah,
I don't see a motorcycle unit as such. I have to double check. And this
yeah.
it's a
I
good thing.
see them in the city. I see them in the city, but it's usually not the very fast bikes, you know.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
just maybe a little
yeah,
transportation thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Get around kind of thing. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen lately them acquiring any bikes as such either. Usually they make a little fuss about it. Somebody donate a
Mm-hmm.
few bikes or something to them, no? But I
Hmm.
think they need that. And that a good topic because the way the police department is structured, they have a tough job. Let's face
Oh,
it.
policing is always difficult, and it has been made more difficult over the years because, I remember I was thinking of the time when, and I think I'd made some mention of it before, the time when at the police yard, right? They used
Hmm.
to play volleyball out there. And I remember people would gather from North Side, South Side, Kings Park, Cinderella Town, Lake Eye, and every place in throughout the entire city, and would go to that police yard and watch a good volleyball game, a couple of good volleyball game for the evening. And it was peaceful. It was good, you know,
Well,
and people were able to move about throughout the country. And at that time, the police was apparently the friend of the community. Things have changed. Things have changed.
you mean they're no longer friends of the
The
community?
people don't view them like that, and they don't view themselves like that because we see
Yeah.
them ride around
Yeah.
in vehicles, and when they come up against you and you come
Well,
up
well,
against them,
well,
it's hostile.
you put your finger on a pertinent point there because with the community coming out, that's a big apartheid. It's kind of like what I've been trying to do here with this park at the Charlie Burton Park. I would like to see one of these in every neighborhood, and it's not hard. There are open lots all over the city. There are people who are retired and just not doing anything but sitting down. Some older folks are as bad as the children. Some older folks are just twiddling their fingers and they could be doing something constructive.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd like to see interactive basketball or football games between neighborhoods where of course you would
Hmm.
need a police presence because you still have the little fools, right? You'll always
Hmm.
have that. There's always the troublemakers, the
Yeah.
negatives. You
Hmm.
have to work with it and overcome it.
Yeah.
um, but
And
if you
working with it enough will overcome it, right?
say you have 10 constituencies, which you have now. I will
Hmm.
have to get to the Port Loyola constituency thing in a minute. I know you're up on your buddy boots, so you could give us a lead. But you have 10 constituencies: Calais, Freetown,
Hmm.
Port Loyola, Caribbean Shores, etc., etc.
Hmm.
Each of these constituencies have a representative voted to go to the House of Representatives that
Hmm.
can afford a little football or basketball team. They make money. They can
Hmm.
afford to have that little area cut and clean and prepared for interaction between the children. It develops
Hmm.
camaraderie. It makes
Yes.
the guy they grow up later on and become good friends because I
Hmm.
knew you from playing ball against you in a
Hmm.
certain part. I mean the
Yes.
common sense of it. I don't see how they don't get it, Greg. But they don't seem to get it.
They
Get
don't
get
want to get it because their interest lies other places.
does it or is it pure ignorance? Because I don't.
No, I don't think it's ignorance. Those
But you
people are
make it.
smarter than us. Those people
But
are
you really think
lawyers
it's a
and
deliberate thing to keep the things going. I
I
can't see it
I
though.
don't know if it's deliberate to keep things going, but I know it is a lack of interest to solve the problems of the society, and that makes it the negligence that we have. They do not show sufficient concern for the people and on a consistent basis. You see, you can't do it one year and not do it the next year. It has to be a commitment. You have to see it as part of moving the society forward, as part of sustaining the development, because each year, each time, it's a new population you're developing and bringing this to, right? So whenever you stop it, then a group of people lose it. And so the government, the leaders are not consistent with their plans, and it's because they don't have that love interest. It's like you. If you have kids, you'll not say, "I'll feed you today." Sorry, "I'll feed you today, and tomorrow, forget it. I won't prepare food or have food for you to eat." No, you're gonna make sure you provide that sustenance for that child
I
every
can
single
I
day.
can tell you don't live in the ghetto because that happens there too. But the thing is, we have to be careful we don't place all the onus on the politicians. Because the very people themselves must be engaged, and they
Yes,
must be the
yes.
one that drives this and make it happen.
I agree. I agree.
They,
I agree.
you know,
I
they can lead. Politicians lead. That's their job to lead the charge
hmm
and whatnot. But the people have got to be a part of it, if not the major part of it, because they can make it happen. They control the environment where these children grew up in.
hmm hmm
What they read and what they hear, what they
hmm
see. All of this, I believe, is what goes into what we were initially talking about. That paradigm, if you will, that way of life, that what they come to, and decide this is what I want to be. Whether it's a football player, a musician, or just a gangbanger. Just one of the kids the other day when I
I
tell
don't know
us,
if they really choose to be gang bangers, do they? I don't have that much.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
they have a role to play in it.
No,
There's,
but I don't
yeah,
think they people grow up in life saying I want to be a gangbanger, because a gangbanger really have a very short lifespan,
Greg,
most
they
of
don't
them.
think that. They don't think that. One of the kids that has good talent the other
hmm
day was over here, and we had a conversation, and I said, well, we're playing one game Sunday. I said, me not into football again. I had a gunman now.
Oh.
And this was in sincerity. Looked at me and said that. I said, well, you know what? You're not a big gunman around here.
Mm.
You're going gunman, but then you're not even welcome. Not in my yard. I can't stop you from coming to the park, but you
Yeah.
cannot come in on my yard as
hmm
such. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, gun shoot anybody, no?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If
I'm
you
not
if you
gonna
if you yeah. Some of those things, we some of the I think you could still talk to him. I think the way he approached you, he was coming from where he's at, but you can still, I think, reach him, because and
um
try and influence him, because
see
he doesn't know the
you
path.
you're going religious on me again. You want to go after the sheep we're gone. We lost the lost sheep. You see,
Well, I
uh,
was not thinking it of religious, but purely humanitarian. That's where I live.
there's a point though where again the onus has to be on him. He has to want it, Greg.
Yes, he does.
He has to see that you're seeing, that you're saying, boy, that one shot like Spaniard, that, but he doesn't care. He
Yeah,
really
yeah,
doesn't, and he made that quite clear to me. And
yeah,
I'm like, well, I don't
yeah.
know. My
Well,
father had
sometimes you
a
just have to ask them some questions. Do you know that the danger of that lifestyle? Do you know that when you say that, you make yourself a target for other gunmen, some that's faster than you are, some
uh,
that's more aware of where you might be at any given moment.
some one that might have more heart than you, because many times they go into it, but they're basically scared.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then once a gun gets pulled, they
Once
even
it gets full, if it doesn't get used, then it's going to get used at some point because everybody becomes built with fear.
yeah, right, right. Something's gonna happen. Something
Hmm.
gives.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen man pull a gun and then start to shake. You know, so and then the other guy recognizes that, and that's where the problem begin, or
Hmm.
ends, if you will.
Yeah.
But no, no, there's a it's a challenging situation. We have lots of work to do. I don't know. And again, you're suggesting you sit down and talk to them and whatnot. But how much time do you spend on one child when you have other? There's like a parent in
Yeah,
a
I
home.
understand.
Is it
Mhm.
an exercise in futility? Is there a possibility there that one might do something, and then should I sacrifice the interests of the others for the
Yes,
sake of
yes.
that one? Do I allow that one to come in and influence the others
Yeah,
towards
yeah,
that same part? Because
yeah.
you know that, like, and I
Yeah.
always telling the story of the fox that lost his tail, and went around telling all the other foxes how beautiful you are without a tail. So that I mean, and some of those foxes without tails are very convincing.
Mm.
Propaganda is awful, boy, and awesome at the same time. It can make you do things. So, but
Yeah,
nevertheless,
yeah. Well, it's. I was just gonna say to wrap that point up. It is always hard to see them drift apart, and we probably as human beings leave the door for hope for all of them to try and come back in and talk to us when they have issues. But we have to be firm. When they tell you that they're a gunman, you need to say, hey, there's a limit to that. You know, you can't hang around here because we don't want to attract that. But if you want to come and talk to me and change, the door is always open. Because once they tell you that, I think pretty much they have been lost. And sometimes you need to ask them why do you think you need to be a gunman? So, because I really need to understand that. Sometimes it's community pressure. Sometimes it's the glitter of probably getting some money. You know. Sometimes it's just to make themselves a little bigger. So all those are probably what's happening. I think we just saw a couple days ago one of the big gunmen got killed by two gunmen, I think. And in time, we'll see those two gunmen get killed by two or three
yes,
gunmen. And that's the cycle we need to keep
break.
pointing out that exists. Yeah.
Uh, but I want gargantuan task, and I see that calculating, calm, where you put it. I want that. I want that. I am a bit more impatient, and I prayed for that. I sometimes I say, God, you give me a job your way. I don't know if I'm suited for. I am a bit rash, irrational even at some times. So I keep praying. Uh, Port Loyola Boots has triggered a recall. Well, at least
Yes.
he's taken his,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because and I wish the reporters would have a bit more tenacity, if you will, when they go after them like that. Because the thing is that Boots promised that he would get 50%, and
Mhm.
so now the reporter they
I think
asked
he
him,
got
well,
like 1,400, right?
which 30%. He said that
Yeah.
which is the threshold. He had enough
Yeah.
to trigger it. So
Hmm.
she was telling me, yeah, but you promised 50%. And I said, well, me
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about because 30% is the threshold. But
Hmm.
yes, yeah, 30% is the threshold, but you did say you would get 50%. Um,
Yeah. I don't think that really matters
that
if you
one
meet the
technicality,
legal.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. If
I
you
mean,
meet
how many,
the
how,
legal,
ma-
yeah.
how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, right? But
22.
yeah, or you figured it out.
Yes.
Trust you to
And
come up with a
and
number.
and if one falls off, the others they all goes a little bit in mourning.
I would be more. inclined to believe 21. Because 21 is a magical number. Did you know I Judge Price picked 21, and I believe it was because of a spiritual thing. But 21 is funny. It takes 21 days for a chicken to hatch. Um,
Yeah.
there's 21. The number 21. The one, and there's a lot of different things that it applies to. I can't you spring it for me suddenly because I have it written on somewhere, but there are a lot of references to the number 21. Certainly the Spanish people. There's so many things. Where's the 21? Well, when you become 21, you're considered
An
of
adult.
age,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there are a number of things with the number 21, and because I always wondered, and I asked him one time, and he did not answer me because I said many people were wondering about him having independence on the 10th, maybe they were saying, and then we just do one celebration.
Hmm.
Um, he went for the 21, and I think the reason he gave was that it wasn't in time for the 10th, or some story that didn't quite make sense. But I really think of something on a spiritual thing where he liked the
Mhm.
number 21 and felt that it was significant. It hasn't hurt us. I don't know if it has helped us. No.
Yeah. But
Um,
you were going to tell us about Boots and Port Loyola.
yes.
Let's
So
get back there.
he took the signatures to the governor general, which I think that the first step. Then the governor
Yes.
general decides what to do about that. But they recall how I'm not sure how it works. They're not just you're just going to recall the person. There's a mechanism in place, and I believe it was the UDP in that last term there that put that in, where
Hmm. Hmm.
you can recall an area
Yes.
representative.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Funny because when they tried to recall, who was it they tried to recall?
Was it Shine or
No.
no?
The Boots is no. Shan was not there. Wasn't it John Saldiva? One of them who did something in Cayo. Cayo, was it out
Mm.
there in Cayo somewhere? Somebody. Penna.
Oh
Elvin Penna.
yes.
When
Yes.
he it's a lot
Hmm.
of stuff he was engaged in. I don't see how he was able to weather that. I tell you, it goes to show when you have, and all you need are a few fanatics behind you, louder than everybody else, and you get away with a lot of things because they showed him selling passports out of the back of one pickup to Guatemalan citizens. Now, let's look at that, and because in the Constitution, no,
But I want to stick a little bit with the recall.
okay,
Yeah. I no, because I'm trying to think of the process like you were saying, how this actually
works.
plays out. How I think I don't know it too well, but I know that at some point, if the signatures and everything is confirmed by the Governor General, but I don't know if there's a mechanism in place
There has to
to
be.
no,
There
no,
has
I
to be.
mean to verify the signatures, to
Well,
verify that these are valid voters, they're from the
well,
district.
if you're going to do it, you have a way of do it. They have, they. I'm sure that's it. But
But
Mike,
then who does
what's the
that and
next
how?
step though? After,
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
well, you
How
have
do
the
you
election
push
and
that?
bunches. You have the election and bunches.
Hmm.
Um, Interesting enough, that is political, because the chief election officer, is always appointed by the government in the power.
But it need not. We have made it more political than it needs to be and ought to be. But I could see that
Well,
person as being a fair and just individual, and I hope that when they make that appointment, that that is always the consideration. We're not looking for a person you know eh, that will
you really have some faith, don't you?
well
You,
uh, e- uh,
I mean,
well because unless you're doing something that's corrupt, if you're following your office responsibility and
Gregory,
your
that
duties.
politics with the talk about, Rasta. That politics, unless you're doing something corrupt. When have they ever done something not corrupt? Really? I
Mm.
mean, it's the order of the day. So I don't think, I don't know how you would do it, because it's like you almost have nobody in the middle. You have some on one side, some on the other side. The objective people are run over. They're not significant. So but if you have a political party in office and they make all the appointments of all the people to the key positions, those people
Hmm.
that they put in those positions are loyalists, and that's a criteria. So I don't know how you're going to expect. Maybe now that they they're doing it, and the ones that are involved are from the other party, I believe you might then get some effort, objective effort,
Yeah.
and they say, well, like saying, you know what, I want a business that we don't really want to get in that or affected in any way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, well, I know at some point if there's a process for verifying the signatures and stuff, then there's held at a certain point in time a by-election, and
okay,
I think there's a number of days after everything has been certified
hmm
that by-election is held. But now that is going to be colliding quite closely, if we don't watch ourselves, with the general election due
which
date.
makes it then indeed an exercise in futility. I mean,
Yes, and
where you
yeah,
achieve now,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
unless you
But I
just
think they
tested
could
it.
drag it out. I think if you do it in the proper time schedule, it could put somebody in office for 6 months, right? Another person.
We're in
If you
1923.
No, we're
Our
in
election
24. We're January
24,
24.
24,
This is
24.
Isn't this the year or early next year that we have to have election?
Well, that's it, because of 5 years, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Not to exceed 5 years.
yeah, remember the cry that we had in 1998, 5 years of 5 years. Many people forget that, but when
Yeah. It
UDP
should
had
not exceed 5 years.
put
But
up a
the
sign that
government
said, "Make them wait,"
sometimes the government they push it, they give the date at the very end, and then they get an extra month or something like that, or
something
extra
like
two
that. Yeah.
months. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
sometimes they push it. Like I said,
yeah.
in 1998, the
Hmm.
UDP,
Hmm.
realizing that they had already pretty
Hmm.
much lost, pushed it. Then I put up
Yeah.
a sign I'll never forget by Belcan Bridge that said, "Make them wait." So
Oh, they did.
yeah, man, and I had to
Oh,
wait, but
yeah,
and they
yeah,
kept
yeah,
moaning and groaning. But at the end of the day, it was a landslide victory. I believe
yeah.
something like 26 to 5 or
5.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I never did like that kind of, even like we have it now with that. And even now it's more dangerous because we have no opposition. And the lead opposition where we got to fight one another. It's amazing. I don't know what's going to happen. My disappointment in Shine is that he basically came out in support of the Israelis and said that the government, I believe, is wrong to take a stand. Um, I think in a matter like that, once we have decided we're going to take a stand, we have to stand together. You just have to. I mean, at some point, you say, well, this is the decision we made. I don't agree with it, but I'm a part of the team, so I have to stand with the team. I don't know what's going to come of that. He would not get my vote. I'll tell you that. Even if because of that, even if the PUP was just, and let's talk about politics for a minute, because I'm looking at,
I think you're a PUP through and through, Mr. G Mike. So I don't
you
think you'll
think,
vote for any UDP.
y-
That's my
boy,
thought.
there are many PUPs who don't agree with you. Don't see
Okay.
it that way. In fact, you talk about that cancel culture. I think because of my stand on many issues, I've been cancelled from the PUP. Um,
Well, that happens sometime, right? The place you think you love, they don't love you,
the,
and so you end up with no land because and in no man's land because you can't love them enough and you can't hate them enough. but you get spat upon by those that should love you.
I think
It's
we should encourage objective thinking. As
Nobody likes
opposed,
that.
yeah, they
Everybody
don't.
wants you to be part of
Right,
their
right.
troll.
Toe the
They
party
want.
line. Toe
Hmm.
that line. Yeah, and whatever it is, agree with it.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
if you don't agree, shut your mouth. Don't be an obstacle to what they want to do.
You know,
That's
which is interesting because looking at what I said about Shine, then maybe he has a right to say to have the stand that he have, but I don't think in a leadership position, um,
No, I
that
think he
it
does.
makes a
No, I
difference.
think particularly because he's in a leadership position, he has that responsibility to voice a separate opinion if he holds it. Because there are thousands of other Belizeans, hundreds of thousands of other Belizeans that shares that view that Belize should not have involved themselves in this what's going on in the boisterous way that the government made it. Because I don't agree with what Israel is doing, but I would not put the economy of Belize up and our livelihood and stuff up because of trying to just speak to against Israel, because it would affect not only Israel, who I know is very spiteful, but it also affects our relationship with the United States. We see how they are behaving in terms of, like you said, 72 to
Are they
9.
all are they also spiteful?
I don't know if they are as spiteful, but I think you could come up with some individuals that would hold it against you. I do believe that
But
they're.
Greg, if you as an individual, a human being, see some blatant wrong, obvious
I
wrong,
didn't say not to speak against it, and I think I mentioned this before. I think there was a point where the former prime minister Saeed Musa and the former Prime Minister Dean Barrow,
right?
each from different party, spoke 2 weeks before the government, and I thought that representation gave the people and the government of Belize good
Let me
cover
let me
to
let me
say that we are in opposition to what's going on,
let me
and the
finish the
government didn't
point.
even make.
Let me finish the point I was making, though. Because if you see a blatant wrong, an obvious wrong happening, you should do the most that you can to try. And as a member of the international community, we are a country, a member of the United Nations. The least that we can do is and that is the most that we can do is to voice an opinion and take a stand on it. I applaud South Africa. What do you say then about South Africa? Do you think because South Africans have as much to lose um, in embargoes, etc., etc.? But at some point, you have to say, "Boy, this is wrong, and I must speak out on it." Damn, be the consequences. I know and I want almost a Belizean thing, and I don't know if it doesn't border cowardice that we don't want to speak out because something might happen to me as a result. No, I don't think that's a good enough reason to not condemn what is outrightly wrong. And
No,
there's no, you can't find much wronger than this.
yeah.
Babies, babies,
I think we're
children.
all appalled by it, G. Mike. But I think the reason that we acted in the way, and we went about speaking about it, was because, as Jules says, the preponderance of Palestinians within the ranks of our National Assembly. That's
Okay,
why
okay, but we
we.
elected them.
Of course we did.
Yeah, so
And
we elected
they're
them.
Belizean citizens, and I guess they are great Belizean citizens.
Okay.
Um, but I'm saying that was the reason they spoke out against it. There are these atrocities that's happening across the world that they made no interest of.
Not the
No, no,
whataboutism.
we
Not
have
about
to.
the
No,
whataboutism.
no, because we have to look at that. The one thing I wanted to talk about and we forgot was the swearing in of the new president of Guatemala, our neighbor.
Oh, they got who is it?
Avrelo, I can't remember his first
Oh,
name.
the guy.
Yes,
So
yes,
so
yes, yes.
Sandra didn't make it.
Well, she had lost the election, but we don't know what they were trying to do. We got sidetracked. But no, she didn't win. She didn't win. But they were trying some little thing where they had declared his party um, not illegal, but they had removed their constitutional right and stuff for the party, saying there was some corruption with them, and they were trying to not have him sworn in. But I think some global pressures were leaning on some of these leaders, and they kind of bend and
What do we know about him as far as his stand
he's
I
very
mean,
liberal. He's supposed to be a social democrat. His father before him, and I can't remember his name. His father before him was president of Guatemala, and he was overthrown by the U.S. because of some liberalizing measures he was taking.
mhm.
Um, so it's the
So it's
son
not a bad
returning.
thing as far as the claim is concerned. He might be conducive to some negotiations and whatnot, some conversation about this whole
Well,
thing.
we don't know how far any individual Guatemalan president can move in that direction just because of how it's written into their constitution. But for most part, I think he's probably, I don't know, I can't speak for him for anything like that, but for most part, he seems to be a
Progressive man.
someone someone we probably could deal with. He won't Hopefully he won't be harassing, but probably if he goes one way, the military, if they are not with him, may go the other way to just aggravate him and aggravate the situation and stuff. So we never know, because I don't think at this point he has full control of the reams of government, because that was one of his concern in his I saw a bit of his speech, but it's in Spanish, and whatever Spanish I learned in my 3 years in college in Spanish, I gave them all back to my professor.
Hmm.
So I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and it's a useful tool. I wish
Yeah.
I knew more. I can broke and get by in a the conversation, but as far as when I start to speed up, then I'm lost. No, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Taiwan also inaugurated a new president.
Oh, they did. Oh, yeah. His name is Bernardo Arevedo.
Uh huh.
Something. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly.
Who's that? The guy in Guatemala.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
father
But
was Juan Jose Averelo, and
okay.
as I said, they
He was
come
also
from a.
president at one
He was
point. You said.
also president in 1945.
Oh,
Um,
back then, yeah.
somewhere back then, 1954 area, the U.S. back coup overthrew that government, and
Yeah, the U.S. wouldn't have done anything like that, would they?
well, the
They.
U.S. has its own agenda around the world, and it's to um, keep cheap of everything flowing to the U.S. economy.
Established dominance.
It
Established
is
dominance.
it is a calculated pattern, and
Well, I mean, and I imagine they feel justified in being that way. It works for them. No, I don't know if it's the path and where we can have peace and justice and equity in the world. I
yeah,
think we need to try something else at some point. And who am I?
yeah,
How
yeah.
can I
And,
affect that
and I
change?
think as more and more people, particularly Americans, start insisting on more transparent government, more equity, and start seeing people as people, it will change. And I think social media makes everything so immediate, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if it makes it more uh,
I
orderly.
think
Let me say, look at it. Trump is again gaining ground. Trump
oh, the
is
president,
coming
I
on
told you a long
strong.
time Trump could probably be president again,
So
and it's not that more people will vote for him, I believe, but that less people will vote for Democrats. Because when we look at the war that's going on, this is upsetting to many
I
people.
think so. I think
Palestinian
yeah,
living in
yeah, yeah,
America,
yeah, yeah.
minorities living in America, and many
Even
other
white people,
people.
many
Yeah,
white people
yeah,
are upset
yeah.
about this.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. So,
yeah, I think again Biden has squandered what he
oh,
had,
he has. Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's unfortunate because he's taking this hardline stance. This is like I don't care. I don't care what they do. They can wipe out the whole region. I'm with them, and I'm gonna keep to send all these weapons and money over there to them. That again, I don't see how you can look at that. And when somebody says, "Hold on, let make we send it, but make we demand that they act right." No, we don't worry about that. We just want to send the money. So, but yeah, so Taiwan also elected a
Mhm.
new, and China was not happy because the United States congratulated that, and that's another hotbed. That's another thing there that not only can cause its own set of
Mhm.
problems over there, but kind of like throw back on us too, because we're always also in a precarious position of being aggressed by a stronger nation.
Yeah,
Um, so
yeah, yeah,
that one,
yeah. We saw that with even with Guyana
yeah.
and
What happened
Venezuela.
there? It seemed they kind of like came to some understanding though,
Yeah,
didn't it?
I never thought anything would have happened there. I think the president at I think they got a new president too. I think uh, um,
Guyana or
V-
Venezuela?
Venezuela also got a new president. I don't think it's Maduro any longer.
You serious?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
I'm gonna
think
have
they
to
also
look
got
at
a new
that.
president.
That should have
Um,
been big news. I didn't see.
uh-huh,
Uh,
hmm
and,
I,
and, and for,
they got a new president. I'm 90% sure I saw that. Um, I believe that that was just a little. I'll have to check. I'm not sure. I think that was just a little bit of noise.
boy,
They do
but
want they do
I
would
don't
like have the
know.
Asavera territory. It is rich and it has
Yeah,
lots of
that's right.
resources and stuff. But Venezuela itself has a lot of resources, has a lot of oil that's
Oh yeah,
untapped,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
trillions of gallons of oil that and they also, from what I had read some time ago, they found such large quantity of fresh water under their territory that was just tremendous resource. So they have resources. They just have
But
been poorly in management, and also I think the conflict between the classes that have made it impossible. Nobody wants to share, or particularly the capitalist group that's supported by the West don't want to share with the poorer people, and we see that everywhere. We see that in Belize, we see that in every country, in Guatemala, in Venezuela, and I'm wondering how Guyana will work it out with the resources it has. I see them doing some housing projects. uh, Before they were doing some housing project that I thought was appalling, you know, for the resources they had. But I saw a new plan for some new housing area, and they gave a little bit more bigger yards. It looks like about 150 by
is this
150
Venezuela or
lot.
Guyana?
Guyana,
Ven-
Guyana,
Guyana.
Guyana.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. But
150 by
you speak
150 with nice starter homes for people to move into.
you
And
speak
whenever
of
they do that, I feel good. Go ahead.
you speak of the number of resources and whatnot that Venezuela has. But
Mhm.
when has that ever stopped anybody from wanting more? You know what I mean? Just having a lot seems that's when they want more. So they're looking at that oil that Guyana is getting ready
Hmm.
to pump offshore there, and thinking that, wait a minute, this could be more for us.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I don't. It might be a pipe dream, but I hope for a day when we come together, when we see the benefit of all of us doing well, as opposed to just some of us doing well and the rest of us struggling and fighting and always looking for a way to get at you for not allowing me to do good. And this are the reason for the unrest and wars and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah,
Eh, where does it stop? Where does it
yeah,
stop?
yeah, yeah. And you know, sometimes mischief is propelled by hands outside because they don't want you to show the example that good could happen on a mass scale.
Interesting. That one interesting thought there, and you might be right. You might be right.
Well, we saw that that was part of the problem with Haiti when it fought for its independence and stuff.
how
There
are
were.
they doing now, Haiti?
I
Because
think they're still a mess. They're
they've been a
still.
mess for a long time,
Yeah,
boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they
They're
have.
still a mess. They're
We have a
still.
bunch of them here in Belize now. Most of them driving the Lavans, no? Um,
Well, that
and
well, I think everyone should. Haiti was in after their revolution. They sent out revolutionaries to all the countries in the Caribbean, in the hemisphere of the Caribbean, of Latin America and the Caribbean, to fight for freedom and against slavery. And I think it is said that if you look at most of those countries' flag, you'll see some depiction of the Haitian flag in their emblem and their colors they have adopted. And so I always want to view them as the original for our freedom and
well,
for
they
and
certainly
for
were the
standing up.
first
Yes,
nation to break away as such from
yes,
the whole colonial yoke at a
yes.
price, mind you,
At a
at a
price that
huge
they're
cost.
paying up to today,
Correct,
the
correct,
the
correct.
cost is that they call them the devil's people. They call them everything because they were willing to stand up and fight against slavery.
Well, what floored me was in realizing that they had to pay back the slave masters for the slaves that were freed. And I'm
Yeah,
like, really? You would think that the slave master would pay them for the years of service that they
yeah,
got, but that are
yeah,
their property that you denied them of. So
yeah,
even in the freeing of the slaves, they weren't acknowledging that this is a human being just like me. And
yeah.
this at a point I think we have to get before we solve any of these problems that we face in the world today.
Well,
We
even in England and in Belize, when they freed the slaves, the British paid the slave masters and paid nothing to the slaves, and that's why reparation seems to be a good call. Um, and even when they said we were free, they still kept us for 2 or 4 years more in that apprenticeship program. And when that was supposedly finished, there was still no place to go, and we were buying everything from um, the slave store. I forgot what they called it, but the store that sold you everything, and by the end of the month, after you finish working for them, you owed them
you
all the money
yeah,
you had
yeah, yeah,
earned
yeah.
anyway.
And
So
some,
it,
and some. Yeah. But you mentioned the word reparation, and that one interesting concept. Can do you think it can work? And how would you suggest it work?
oh, I don't think it will work in a way where you go find individual people and dole them out some money.
Well, Trump did it in COVID.
Well,
Trump sent
because that
ships.
was to all Americans. That was to
Right,
all citizens.
right.
How do you go about and say, I don't think it will work culturally. I don't think people will feel, California passed a reparation bill already, and already it's getting kickback where people are saying it is too expensive, it will not work, and so forth. But this is how I think it would work.
Can you put their plan in hypnosis? What kind of
They
how would
haven't come
that
up with
work?
a plan of how to. They just say that reparation is owed, and the government and that the state needs to find a mechanism to determine how to do it.
But that's the most difficult part of that. That's the
That's it.
part that can take
That's it. That's it.
forever.
That's
Yeah,
the part that's impossible.
yeah,
That's the part
yeah,
that's
yeah,
impossible.
yeah, yeah,
To just say, yeah, but I think it could work in a manner where they say we're going to support these type of institutions that are minority. We are going
yeah,
to
yeah,
support
yeah.
education. We're going to support healthcare. We're going to support these things. We're going to encourage businesses and stuff to go into these areas so that they can develop. We're going to make housing a priority for this sector and segment of the society. And if they do that, I think that's a way it could work, and that's a way it will raise the entire level of the society and so forth. But
But
I
will that
don't.
satisfy the expectations of those who believe or are waiting for something personal? That they want. I mean,
I think probably in this kind of measure where both people are left a little wanting, the ones that are asked to make the sacrifice to give, and the ones that are asked for your sacrifice in the past, this is all you're getting. I think it's probably what's going to make it work. I think if you were to say we give each American $400,000 or 20 acres and a mule, whatever that equates to today. Um, I don't know that that will. Well, you see, if you get that 20 acres in Manhattan, you'd be a billionaire, right? But but so it's hard to assess where that would be. I think there was a part in the South, in the Carolinas, at one point, right after slavery and emancipation, where they did make an effort to provide those 20 acres and a mule.
tell me
And
something. A person with like myself, obvious mixed race. What do I get? Half of what everybody else is getting, or
I guess you will have to measure how much
uh,
actual Negroid blood is in you, and then we just make
get
that
it
difference
based
there.
upon that? Why?
No, I'm kidding. I think the courts in America have long ruled that if you had one drop, you're considered black. So I don't know how else they'll do
They
it.
have never gone back and re-examined that policy there. Is that
No, I don't think that
on the
has ever
books? You think?
changed. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
don't think that has ever changed.
yeah.
I think it was noted that it was just 5 years ago that the the lynching law was finally nullified by Congress and removed that lynching was illegal. So I don't think they'll dare to, not dare, but I don't think they'll go back and do that one when it seems like it does no harm to their system.
Hmm. The lynching part was the one that gets me every time, because when you think about it, you know how many young black men. I was thinking that a day too about the
Young black men, women, not only men were
yeah
lynched, women
woman,
were
yeah,
lynched
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, just callous and with
yeah,
no and
yeah,
left there. You know what I'm saying? That
yeah.
and they just go about their business, and there was no redress, no law looking at them and saying, "Boy, maybe where you're there." The law, in fact, was defending
The
him.
law was doing it.
The
The
law
law
was
was
doing it,
doing it. The law was doing
man.
it.
Yeah, But
One of the largest lynching, I believe, was some soldiers when they came back from world. I don't remember if it's World War I or World War II, and they rioted, and the army actually hanged them. Probably about 40 or 50 soldiers.
bunged it up together and just hanged everybody.
They would just hang. That's one of the largest lynching, one act lynching that happened. So
Boy,
so so
when
the
you think
law the
about it,
law has been part of this in parcel.
we have come a long way, huh? And there's a time we couldn't sit on a show like this and discuss anything like this
No,
without
they'll come find you, and they'll get me a little easier because I'm right here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Better. So once they get you, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna run, boy. No, no, Greg. But you make take
No,
bad thing make
no.
joke, as the old
Yeah.
folks would say.
No, time has changed. Things have changed in the United States. I believe this is one of the most hopeful country. Our constitution is such that it allows us to be hopeful and to
I used to
think.
think so. I used to think so, and I tell you what, I still know for a fact that the majority of American people are good people.
The
That
vast
they,
majority, not
the
just the
vast
majority,
majority, yes, the
vast
vast
majority.
majority, and they would not, if it was up to them, they would not be condoning any kind of genocide as such, and things that happen like that. And many of the wars that America get into is not the population, the consensus, if you will, of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
population that does it.
yeah.
Though the system is in place where you better go. Er,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
hanging it, the lynching. You'll know about lynching then, because they you can be put to death
Mm-hmm.
for refusing that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, the American people themselves, and I have had um, wonderful experiences of kind acts
Mm-hmm.
from people during my time there. That I used to say, my goodness, even I didn't get that back in Belize. I didn't see that sense of social caring. You know what I mean? Where people are really, and in fact, if you look at some of the systems in place, that they do
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
try to help people.
Mm-hmm.
In unemployment situation, people that would ordinarily be out there with nothing to eat and nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and notwithstanding that a lot of people take advantage of it, but the fact that it's there for people who really need it, that one system that indeed, if allowed to work the proper way, would be a shining example to the rest of the world of what true democracy can be. The way it is, though, when we look at this, like this recent vote in Congress, in the Senate, not Congress, in the Senate, then you have to say, I don't. Maybe the wrong people are at the top. Maybe the ones that are making the decisions should not be the ones making the decisions, because they're not doing well at all. They're falling short.
Yeah.
Falling
Well,
short.
for sure, I believe the American people are the most gracious, most well-intended people. Um, but we have to realize that, like you said, the people at the top, they have their own agenda. And if you consider, most of them are millionaires, billionaires, or somewhere in that range, right? And so they have a special interest and class interest that they protect. They're not there protecting the American people, they're protecting their class from everybody else.
And they are in turn protected by the
Well,
system.
well, they're the one that ensures the system. They're the one that budget the system. They're the one that appoints the system. So that system protects them likewise. And the American people, all of us, are left sort of victims of of that. But
Bad
I
policy. Victims
but
of
I,
bad
but
policy.
yeah, but I do think there's hope. There's hope because our system is aspirational. It aspires to be better. And if we look at it gradually, there comes a point in people where they, with enough learning and understanding, they start seeing wrong and they start understanding wrong. I don't believe that while people are in action against what we're seeing happening right now, that they're not kind of taking this in and figuring out their next move to make things better on another step. It is strange when we watch the world right now, when we watch what's happening with the Republican Party, when we watch what's happening with the Democratic Party, and when we watch the policies that this current government is adhering to as it relate to Israel. We all get concerned and say what's happening, but I think the American people is taking account of this. And I think in time, they will take measures and
I
to
I
bring about some more balance because the young people in America are not so gung ho about what Israel is doing as the older heads, right?
I think that you're correct, and it will be addressed in retrospect. Unfortunately, the damage will be done. The damage that's being done now. I
Yes.
cannot, I cannot for the life of me understand why anybody would be against a ceasefire. There's no, there's almost no fighting back. There's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and when you
Just
hear
destruction. It's just destruction
it
and
is
uh,
wanton.
dismantling of a society and its people.
Everything, there's dropping bombs and everything,
Yeah.
and it is against international law. They can come up with whatever reason and excuses they have not provided any proof that any of those hospitals and schools and churches were indeed operational
Yeah.
fortresses as
No,
such.
I think everybody knew that, and I think they knew that. But
So
and
but then the law. Now tell me something, this court before the ICJ, is this going to test the true metal of that organization? Is this going to then hold it up to the world and say, well, we look at the sham that we have here? Is it worth even? I
well,
mean,
whatever the ICJ rules, because that's a part of the United Nations, right?
right.
Um, will end up with going back to the Security Council for
And there you go.
implementation.
There you go.
And so I think it would just give the rest of the people a sense that here the ICJ has made this decision.
But the veto
But
exists.
I'm trying to still remember if the United States accept the ruling of the ICJ. There's a case I remember with Nicaragua that has some territorial dispute with the US, and I think it is, and the United States does not recognize the
How could they not? They're a member of the Security Council, for crying out loud. They
yeah,
are one
yeah,
of the major
yeah.
players in there.
They
Um,
sponsor it. They pay for much of the bills and stuff. Um, I think for the first time, the United States, one of its states, adopted the equidistance or 200 feet claim for your shoreline of your, and so California was the first state to make that claim, and so that could make a difference in how they view some things in moving forward. I don't know if the national government how they will react to it, but I don't know if California could unilaterally against the national government make that claim. because it needs to be enforced by the I think the enforcement of any territorial claim, it would be by the national government but not by the state, because we're having some similar dispute and issues with the border with Texas, because Texas trying to enforce immigration laws in ways that the national government is not doing, you know. So
What is Biden's program for immigration? Because he seems to be throwing the doors wide open. People are just
I don't
going
think
in.
so. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I don't think he's throwing. I think that's the, he
That's
has kept
propaganda.
President. Yeah, that's propaganda. President Biden has pretty much kept the same draconian policies in place that that
But
that
Gregory,
that.
I've seen cities talking about that New York, different cities where you didn't see that before, where huge bus loads of immigrants, huge
But
amounts,
that's the
are just
yeah.
going there. That has not always been happening. That
No, I think you're right.
it's almost like it's easier to get in. I know people who have gone and have had no problem just walk across and get in. This wasn't the case before. So I don't know what his policy of for immigration is.
I
What
think
is the plan?
every president is kind of caught with that. You know, United States need workers.
But
Our population is getting older. I think it's just right now a sort of a psychological thing. People are concerned about immigrants, maybe because they are not getting the particular demographic of immigrants that they would like. But this country does need an
the
insurge
quality though,
of
the quality because the
well,
people
well, you can't say that people don't have quality. People can develop themselves if they're less educated at this point. We find that a lot of the people that come in are able to develop themselves and to become quite
at a cost to
successful.
the country, at a cost to the society that
Yes,
they
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
It will cost to house
So
them and educate them and prepare them for this type of um, life, right?
it just
It's
seemed
not,
like an inordinate amount though. It certainly is a lot more than used to be just going in there. Uh,
actually that's not true. I believe I don't think the total number of illegal immigrants has increased.
you serious? Well,
Yeah, I don't believe.
how are we doing with those caravans that was going up there
I
the
don't
other
think we
day?
have seen them. Usually they come in the summer, so um, but somewhere
They never want to mess with that cool.
yeah, yeah. Sometime they start coming, I think, from like February or March all the way through to like June or July, when they could come through the desert there. Um, I- and that's their big
But so you really
movement.
don't think that there are more immigrants going to the U.S. now than there were
Mm,
before?
I have to check my numbers, but I don't think there's more. I don't think there's more
Yeah,
under
yeah.
President Biden. Under President Obama, there was a lot. Under President Trump, there was a lot for a while until he start
Well,
doing that
the
that
border wall
those
thing.
measures at those measures at the border. But
Somebody said that Obama deported more immigrants than Trump did. Or
he
that
probably did. But he also had more coming in.
okay.
So there was more to deport. There was much more to deport. I don't remember if you remember the walls of people that we saw coming in, millions and millions coming in. Every month there was 300,000 or something like that coming at the border. Just overwhelming and no country can survive that. No country can that
Did you
kind of.
vote? Did you vote for Obama?
I support President Obama
Okay,
twice. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You did support him. All right. Yeah.
I even worked on his campaign,
Okay. Getting voters registered and thing for him.
getting yes, making calls and stuff, to reaching out to communities and people to get involved.
Yeah. Was he a good president?
He was as good as I think you're allowed to be in this society. He didn't achieve many of the things I had hoped he would have achieved, and he kind of fell apart in tragic ways with policies that I thought failed the country here, and
Name
in
one.
policies
Give
in
me an example of one of the things that you think he could have done that he didn't do.
mm, one of the things that really disappoints me about his what ended up happening was the destruction of Libya. I thought that was an atrocious display of negligence on the part of the Americas of America, and I think it was probably spearheaded by that lady that wanted to be president, and in pleasing and supporting Israel, thinking she could get their support in that regard. Because if you remember, that president of Libya was a big supporter, and he would give families money that had lost their lives in
You mean
what they call
Gaddafi?
terrorist, yes, what they call terrorist act in that was against the Israeli state. And so Israel really wanted to see him go. And so I think in preparation for her election, she did everything to make it work out in a way that he would lose his power. And so that to me was a disappointment, because um,
He could have done more. You think in that
oh
situation?
yes, 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 he was the one that signed off on the plan to do what was done, you know.
Okay.
And so that to me was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Domestically, I don't think he had done enough to support some of the local legislation for housing and some of those other policies that could have helped the
Well,
local.
there's only so much the man can be doing, because
But he didn't do
again,
much. He didn't do much because he was the president when he came in. We had the Great Recession
you
that
know,
was
though
that
you
was
tell,
looming, and he gave everything to the Wall Street. He left nothing for the people,
but you've
right?
been a bit harsh because I don't know.
I mean, he stabilized the economy, but in so doing, he made he just turned over the keys to Wall Street to make determination of everything, and that was not good policy. But there are people whispering in his ears, right? And
Yeah.
those people had that interest, and probably he himself didn't know where to go with it, and he bought into that policy. I think that he had said at one point, I don't mind if I'm a one-term president as long as I do what I wanted to do. I think he lost that track someplace, and he became a two-term president by
By doing
doing.
what others wanted him to do.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
interesting. Yeah. Uh, Boy, I tell you though, just the fact that a black man became president of America to
Yes,
me was substantial, um,
yes,
significant, and it kind of like, and that's the hope. That's what sent hope to see that if that could happen, I I was well hoping beyond hope that he would come through it, and he did,
yes,
and for
yes,
2 terms, that
yes,
that was amazing. So I think again though, he that in itself helped America's image on the world
Hmm.
stage.
Hmm.
Um, that is being squandered at this point, and that's the unfortunate thing about that. Because there are a lot of countries that look to
Hmm.
America with a black president and say, "Boy, I mean, this country has come a long way." Um, Again, when we think about the lynchings, the discrimination, the segregation, all the man, the oppressive ways that blacks, the things they had to endure, humiliation, and then here comes a man, a black man, and get because people had to vote for him. Apparently,
Yes.
a lot of white people also had to
Oh,
vote for him.
yes. Yes. Yes.
So
He
um,
was he was no doubt a good man,
he was suave. I mean,
and a wonderful president, and a gracious man, and
yeah,
he did, I believe, everything that he was empowered to do.
and an intelligent man. Don't forget, because
Oh, highly intelligent, highly
he was
intelligent,
highly intelligent,
highly
and of course,
intelligent.
Michelle didn't hurt because Michelle was a
She
good.
was right there. I'm sure she was right there whispering in
She
his
was
ears.
wonderful support there he was getting
Yes,
from her, no?
yes, yes, yes.
So, how is Biden's wife, Jill? We haven't heard
We
much
haven't
from
seen
her.
or heard her much. She has not she have not gotten the light like Michelle Obama got, or even some of the glitter that Mr. Trump's wife got, President Trump's wife got. But
Yeah.
I think she's there doing her thing. I don't know what it is she does. I don't know where she stands.
Well,
But
Trump's wife is interesting. When you Melania, what's her name?
Melania.
Melania. She was a character. Boy, she then she showed up at this what I think it was a disaster Katrina, one of those things
Oh,
with
yeah,
a jacket
the
that says
disaster.
"Ask me if I care, I don't give a damn" or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which
I never quite understood what that is. I'm sure she didn't just have that on by accident.
that's
There
what I'm
was
saying.
either
Somebody must have
I-
told her something.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I don't know
some
what that it didn't make sense. It was inconsistent with common sense.
when Gregory when Barack Obama was elected, he had a majority in the House and Senate. Do you feel that the ACA could have been better negotiated?
Yes, that's the American Healthcare Act. I think it was time for it to pass and happen, and I think the Republicans would have fought against it anyway. Although that very act was a Republican idea by Nixon in the early ages, and it just shows how people in politics drift away from their own idea, or how the Republican Party has moved so to the right of everything that it once stood for. So yeah, and I do think that could have been handled a little bit better. But we had one senator, and I can't remember his name. He was the senator that was vice president nomination with oh, I can't remember his name. But his wife actually worked for the lobbies for the healthcare, and he held out on the Affordable Care Act in a way that made them had to compromise the way the law was actually finally written, and that caused a lot of the problem for how that law finally went in and made it have all the legal challenges it had, because then it put in the mandate for having to pay money, which I think the court finally ruled that they cannot force you to make those payments and pay those penalties if you didn't have insurance. And then that
Was
was
it passed?
eventually
The act was passed
yeah
actually.
yeah, that's the healthcare we have now.
Uh,
We call it Obamacare for
right,
short,
right.
right?
S-
So that made it work. I think we're out of
Did
time.
Trump try to
He tried to he went into office,
overrule
said he
it?
was going to overthrow it. He
Yeah,
overruled.
but he wasn't able to. No,
He was never able to. He was never able to.
maybe this
And
term he'll succeed.
no, he won't, because it is has become so much a part of America now. You can't ask people to give up. It's
And
like Social Security.
even the ones who were against it, just for being
Yeah.
with him have seen the benefits, I believe, of it.
Yeah, because it makes sense. People need
Yeah, yeah,
healthcare.
yeah,
People need
yeah,
to make
yeah.
sure that they're not discriminated against their healthcare if they move from one place to the
And if
next and
they're
so
not healthy,
forth.
they can't work. And they
I-
can't
I-
work,
I-
they can't produce, they can't get
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
those are some of the big issues.
well, Greg, me and you, we made it through. Thanks for few of the listeners who have chimed in. People will want to invite you to stick with us. We're going to be here, but for the long run, we're not counting our shows. I see some guys saying, "Well, we've been on for so many shows." We're going for 2 years. I'll tell you that, and
Yes, April
still
will be 2 years.
April, yeah,
Hmm.
and going strong. So we want to thank you though for joining us. Please put these 2 hours aside. Have little things that you want to discuss, and that was a good question with the ACA
Yeah.
point. No, so but we really want to flesh out these things and have a frank discussion about matters with no agenda. We're not pleasing anyone. We like to see both sides of issues when they come up. We've tackled it in the Mayan situation from that angle, and we need to go back there at some point, Greg, because
Yes. Yes, I want to have Christina Chuck join us
I
once
wouldn't mind
more.
at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah,
I
let's.
know quickly that the non-Mayan or non-communal Mayan and some of the people in Punta Gorda had last week had some type of
A rally. I think a meeting of some sort.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
town hall or some type
They're
of
busying themselves, I believe, and getting
yes.
ready to contest what is there. But it's something that went before the courts, and I don't know how it passed. I really don't. I don't see the sense of it because again with a small nation like Belize in a time like today, it does make a lot of sense to me. Greg, we're out of time. Thank you again, sir, for being such a warrior. See you night.
Sing. I believe that massive, me begging to
Thank
just
you
look
and
up
good
at
night.
some
Yep.
God, like real life it will live. When it comes earthquakes,
Yeah, man.
General the ball. Ready for
Every
no
time.
game. Aggressive, assertive, attentive,
Good night, Mr. Mike.
innovative. Black
Yes,
people
sir.
representative. We want to just lean back and check remote. Sing out. Right now, you them they kill one another. Right now, all the time. Feel the prayer to the Father. Right now, Belize under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Only you them they kill one another. Right now, all the time. Feel the prayer to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind. Prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the times. When Satan billions them call it boy call a crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but she cannot find a dime in the country. One more wrong under them coke and wine. If they vanity, then they try this time and time. So them might get snatched up from behind and bleed through the eye when job bind the twine. Cause of them economy on decline. Moral fabric of society on decline. Ecosystem on decline. Them could have decided all day one thing they can't find. And that's a peace of mind. Sing right now, you say me kill one another. Right now, all the time, feel the prayer to the Father. Right now, Belize under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now, only you say me kill one another. Right now, all the time, feel the prayer to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Hey boy, move savage. Poor people need 10 more stimulus package. To all them food, but them cause all the damage. Boom. Yes, I don't find nothing in the wreckage. Big cigar, hunting cottage. Wife for the globe check. Hearts and carriage. Look like they want with the start eat out a garbage. Bump that, red dot, melon flip bust like cabbage. Wake up, smelly raw sewage. Junk stomach to digest all the carnage. Poor people of the gain no left wing, so them left with the whole is thinking luggage. And boy, I did get the message. Read the Bible, but miss certain passages. Collins, pop to cartilage. Once again, Collins.
them, they kill one another. Right now is the time. Fully pray to the Father. Right now, believe on the fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now. The youth them, they kill one another. Right now is the time. Fully pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind. Prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time. When Satan billions them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but she cannot find a dime with comfy. One more wrong and that them coke and wine. Vanity then they try mankind. Choke them like this, not up from behind. And plead to the eye when just bind the twine. Cause of them economy on decline. Moral fabric of society on decline. Ecosystem on decline. Them could have started all day, one thing they can't find. And that's a peace of mind. Sing right now is the time. Fully pray to the Father. Right now, believe on the fire. Right now, right now, right now. The youth and they kill one another. Right now is the time. Fully pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now.
He smokes. Don't know. Big up G Mike. Get the damn man. Big up yourself, stay on it. Whole crew. Samurai. AKA CY. Alongside Smoke it on. I see smoke. Don't know. Everything proper. They got power crew. Got the area. Everything to come up. Amen.
What's up? What's happening? You strapped and you locked into the one and only Sea Smoke. And wherever you see smoke, there is fire, lightning, thunder, brimstone, Allah. Control. Don't touch and don't move.
Smokey at the control, the mantrol.
Wow, what's up? What's up? What's happening? You strapped and you locked into the one and only Sea Smoke. And wherever you see smoke, there is fire, lightning, thunder, brimstone, Allah.
So treat me like a barracuda from outer Belize water, or like a polar bear from outer Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba, apex predator. So treat me like a barracuda from outer Belize water, or like a polar bear from outer Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba. I'm putting 4 countries in crisis. Opportunists, 10 clicks from my target. Check my 6. Situational awareness. We play checkers, play chess. Corporate takeover. NMK Ultra, Smokey. Make the baseline deeper, vibe. Pass the choker to this barn warrior. Billy's blue hole, free diver. The pearls way after, jungle whisperer. We spend monster monkey river. The diet of rainwater and cassava. Cut a brook and tableta to brata. Silencer, sniper, pit viper, supply the corner. Every witness got 8 drama. But if we need the corner, cause I got the heat seeker for any infiltrator attempting to circumvent my perimeter.
Ready now.
Infrared detecting temperature of the backbiter. Hater, pretender, repeat offender, base defiler, wanna be successor. Buried like last checker, I'm a drifter. Loner, sufferer, post-traumatic disorder. paranoia, schizophrenia. My friends' names are Luca, Beretta, Sifufa. I am an A, modified, hair chick, itchy finger, upload, novel, hot lava, chest cavity like a creator, elite, delta, Gurkha, special ops, scale in the sums of creator, evading IEDs and RPGs, slung by lurkers. Added flame to the fire, pipeline paper chaser, ICBA nuclear, flashback to Iwo Jima. I will resort to torture, water boiler, intel gathering, global satellite positioning, self-duplicating. It's me, I'm cloning, have them hominin like pigeons. Off of them backs, still impenetrable, like a military industrial complex. Then I hear me when me sing, we say, no for them backs, still impenetrable, like a military industrial complex. Them backs, them backs, yo, them backs, again. Apex predator, so treat me like a barracuda from outer Belize water, or like a polar bear from outer Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba. Apex predator, so treat me like a barracuda from outer Belize water.
Yeah. Level the vibes, you know what I mean? Yeah. Chilling on Studio One. Smokey Dan One. Tan One Belizean man. You know what I mean? Anything serious, man. We play every instrument. Swap. Like a van.
Check yourself. You don't know, so Smokey at Studio One. Rap songs. We're not playing the games.
Yo. Street Studio One. Street Studio. I said, no other vibe, man.
In the lower down, with the showdown. When we come in the town, say that don't make a sound. Turn up the monitor and tune in receiver. Here is with the clarity, the songs to the charity. This is reality, not the chapelity. But that is Smokey rocking to your melody. We in the party, feeling irate. So we attack different level down, but with our decibels. See me and me see them, and me know them, and go see me, but them still can't come take a ground. They see me and they see me, and me know me, and they see them, but them still can't come take my truth. They see me and they see me, and me know me, and go see them, but them still can't come take a ground. I said we mash it in a town, rip it in a country. And anywhere we see them, say them dead and buried. I pussy like them, me sing is the way to be from. I pump like them can't come.